One other thing that you may have noticed is that when I hovered over the warehouse, this little, what's called a tooltip, actually popped up. Now, tooltips are a fairly new feature in SAP Business One, and you have the ability to specify what gets shown when you have your tooltips switched on, and in fact, where those tooltips show up. So if you go here into modules, we go into administration, we go into our system initialization, and you'll see here we've got right down the bottom our tooltip preview. If you select that, you'll see all the tooltip previews that are available, and you can see here is our warehouse tooltip, and these are all of the different fields that are available to show. So if I go in here and I might want to see, for example, the country where that warehouse is located or the city, I just simply select that and I update it, and I'll say OK. And so then what will happen now, when I hover over my warehouse, you'll now see the city of New York is now showing there against my warehouse tooltip. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so tracking back, what we've done is we've entered in a single line, but I've gone through and I've shown you all of these different options. Now, does that mean you have to go in and bring up every single one of these options when you're doing a quote? Of course not. But I just want to make sure that I'm showing you all of these different components. Okay? So then you can come on to the next line and you can be really, really quick now. You select your product. They want an A0001. They want 15 of those. And you hit tab, and now you can come on to your next product, and so on and so forth. So it can be as quick or as detailed, so that's what I was saying before, as simple or as detailed as you want it to be. And then of course when I'm on this line, I can go in here now and I can say, you know what, I've made a mistake and I actually want this to be a service order. So I can say yes and change it to a service quote. But remember, if you ever do that, it's going to cause all of the changes that you've made to be deleted. So again, if I say OK to that, you'll see it basically throws away all those lines that I've already put in once before. Okay, so be very, very careful. Make sure you always select the kind of transaction you want. So let's just come back in and let's quickly add those items again. Again, we're going to do our lookup. Remember, we had the office print 1111 and the customer wanted 10 of those. And then we had our next product, which was our office print 1420. And the customer wanted 15 of those. Now don't forget, you've got this option here when you've got your lines, you can go in and you can start moving these lines up and down. So if you want to change the order of your lines, you can. And then of course, if I want to, I can go ahead and I can reorder that, that sales transaction just by double clicking on the header. All right, so you'll see now it's resorted it for me on the basis of the item codes. Or I can go in and sort it in order of item price or discount or whatever the case may be. So again, a lot of flexibility that's in there. And then when you're finished, what do? You simply click add. That's it. My sales quotation is now created. So a lot of things that you can do in there, and remember, every single thing that I've just shown you, you can actually do inside a sales order. Couple of other things before we finish this session off on looking at the sales quotation. And so what you can see is in the sales quotation, for example, if I go in here and start typing in the name and type the name, you'll see it does an auto lookup for me there as well. I can select Earthshaker. Now you'll see down here I have this option to copy the sales quotation details from a blanket agreement. So let's talk briefly about the blanket agreements. What blanket agreements allow you to do is preset a whole range of these values and have those apply to all the quotations or all the sales orders that occur from a period of time until the quantity on that agreement is fulfilled. So you can say, you know what, I'm going to give you a 10% discount on all of these products that you buy until you've bought 100 of them, or until the 15th of July, or whatever the case may be. So again, that's the purpose of the blanket agreements. And you'll remember those blanket agreements, if we go here into our modules, and you see here, there it is, there's the sales blanket agreement. That's where you can go in and you can set up all the parameters of the blanket agreements. But again, we'll come into this in more detail later. So that's our sales quotation done. So let's say, for example, the customer has come to you and said, all right, great, love that quotation, really, really happy with it. I actually want to turn that into an order. So you can retrieve the quotation, and then you'll see you've got this option, and you can copy it straight into a sales order. Now you also have the capability to bypass any of those steps. You can copy it straight to a delivery, or you can copy it straight to an AR invoice. But if you copy it to a sales order, then the next step will either be a delivery or an invoice. Okay, so you can copy it to a sales order and then copy that sales order into a delivery. So you'll see that as we go through the process. So you can either copy to, or you can copy from. So right now I'm in a sales quotation, so I'm going to copy it to a sales order. But let's assume that I was actually in the sales order screen. So let's go and call that up. And once again, you'll see it maximizes. When I pick my customer, and again, let's pop in Earthshaker. It's giving me a warning now because I'm in sales orders. It's just giving me a warning, hey, they've exceeded their credit limit and they've exceeded their commitment limit. Do I want to continue? Right now I have the ability to do that because my usage rights allow me to. But what I can do is I can come in here now and I can say copy from a sales quotation. So I go into my sales quotations and it comes in here and it says, okay, these are all the sales quotations that are in the system. I'm going to sort them by date in descending order. There's the sales quotation I just created today. And then it's going to ask me a couple of options. Do I want to use the current exchange rate from the exchange rate table? Do I want to bring in all the information that was in there because I might have changed some of this? I'll say, yep, I'm just going to bring all of that information in as it was on the quotation, and I'm going to use the exchange rate for today. But I can say if this sales order, if this quotation was done 4 days ago and there might have been an exchange rate change, I can go in here and say use the row exchange rate from the base document, and then I'll say finish. And there it is. My information has now been brought across from my sales quotation, and of course I can now just come in here and I can say add, and it's going to add in that sales order. Now, common mistake is that people forget the delivery date, but you saw there that little red message flashes up down the bottom there, and it says, okay, well, what is the delivery date? Now, if I want it to be today's date, I can just put D for date, and it will automatically put in today's date. It's updating this, and it's saying, all right, do you want all these rows to have that same delivery date? And I can say yes, because remember, you can set a separate delivery date for each one of these rows. So the customer could say, well, I want 10 on this date and 5 on this date. And I could say I want 5 on this date and 5 on this date. So again, the key to this is flexibility. Got all of that, that's all fine. I just go in here now and I'll say add. Again, it's just reminding me those situations where the customer has exceeded their credit limit, and I'm good to go. So now I've done that, my sales order is complete. I can call up that sales order again, remember using these buttons up the top, my last data record. There it is, there's my sales order. It's based on sales quotation 1184. And I can right click on here now, remember, and I can look at my relationship map. And what it's now showing is that this sales order came from this sales quotation. And if I want to drill down and look at that sales quotation, I can simply double click on it, and it now shows me that sales quotation as well in an additional window. but my sales order window is still there. And if I click up here on window, I can see all the different windows that are available for me to swap between. Okay, the relationship map. I might then want to go back to my sales order. And so the beauty of this is that you have the ability to multitask. So you might be halfway through a sales quotation, of course, and somebody says, oh, can you quickly go and process this invoice or go and process this order. You can do that without losing any of your information. So that's it for this fundamentals session. When we come in, we're going to look at the next step in the process, which is taking a sales order and pushing that across into a delivery, and then from a delivery to an invoice.